back, guys, to another video. Today I'll be showing you how to get a lot of people in City Skylines, like you see here. So in City Skylines, there is something you need to know. There is a lot of things you need to know in City Skylines that you should do. In City Skylines, first, I'll tell you the ways that you can earn money and begin. So, first, first, first method. Now, in early game, you're gonna need a lot of industry, cause yeah, it's going to be useful early game. Because in early game, in the City Skylines, industry is much more useful at that stage, because you're not going to be doing that much stuff, and you're not gonna have offices and high density commercial buildings unlocked. So you're probably wondering, wait. Okay, so what do I do early game? When you have your industry early game, make sure that you don't do too much industry, because yeah, it is useful to have a whole bunch of industry early game to supply your businesses. This is just so you can get everything through, but there's a lot more things that towards business, especially due to the fact. Oh, yeah. So you're probably wondering, how how do I get good stuff in say Skylines? Once you unlock the high density stuff in offices, replace all your industry and regular suburbs with its high density residential. The reason why you want to do this is for an insanely important reason. In City Skylines, your main residential might become less useful later game. You also, once you start making insane amounts of money, you're going to want to get rid of traffic congestion and other things. But however, your traffic congestion, this mainly may happen with your cargo. This is just specifically due to because your cargo has much more things that it has to go through. So that's why. But you're probably wondering, why do I replace its industry with offices? The reason why you should do this is due to because your industry can cause pollution. If pollution is bad enough, this actually lowers your citizens' health. It does. With less pollution, put things like solar power plants, which do less pollution and allow for bigger areas to be affected. This also saves you space and other things. Yes, solar power plants do take up a lot of space, but they're better than having a city full of industrial stuff. This is just simply due to the fact that the industry in City Skylines is much worse than regular. You really don't want to have an insanely big industry layout. You really want your industry to begin fading away once you have gone on through most of early game. And by the time you are at somewhere like, where I'm at right now, then you're going to want to have to start replacing all your stuff with, stuff like office and industry. I meant not industry. Now, you also, once you unlock high density buildings, like high density commercial or high density residential, replace your regular commercial buildings with high density residential and your regular suburbs with high density city residential. These actually are much more useful and can hold more people, which means you have much more people that can be held in one area. This is actually what you really should be doing, because in City Skylines, Suburbs can be really good, but you always want to have a good connection throughout your city. Oh, your city. Your city. You really want this. You don't want too much congestion happening with your city. So, to minimize traffic congestion, always, and I mean by, always maximize your public transport. You can also do another strategy where if you have any type of water, then you can simply use that water thing. Now, yes, once you start using cargo trains, these will be a whole lot more useful later on. Here on. This is due to because cargo trains have a purpose. Once you get cargo hubs want to unlock those really, the cargo hubs will be a whole lot more useful along with cargo train stations. These allow for you to get much more imports. However, this does come with a cost. Congestion. You want as little congestion as possible in your city, so make sure you maximize your or transportation routes so you have more people that can head through the city at a time. You also should do cargo ports or cargo hubs. These can also help with your imports ports a lot too. So then you could supply your businesses. That's why they're so useful. You never want too much pollution either. So make sure your incineration plants do not head with the grass because you don't want the pollution to start affecting trees. Because if it affects trees too much, then Oh, now if you're a city skylines expert and you know that in city skylines, incineration plants can cause pollution, or any type of industry can cause pollution to the ground. You do not want this. Once this happens, well, it's going to take a while. Even if you remove the source, the pollution will still take a while. So build the buildings and build as little to industry as possible. At least build one incineration plant for each area of the city that needs trash collection. Do not build too much industry, and yes, don't I did have to make an artificial island right here. This simply happens all the time where these cruise ships love to just merge into the land. I don't know why. I don't know why they do this. What you should also do is at least have one incineration plant so then you can simply just get this area done with. This is just so you can get stuff. Now you don't need incineration plants all around. Just place incineration plants all around, but then make sure you get rid of your cemeteries. The reason why you want to get rid of cemeteries is due to the fact that if you don't get rid of the cemeteries, then they can take up space. Cemeteries take up a lot of space. And once you start getting more people, you're gonna want to start making more or Asian zones. Or you should start making crematoriums. These do hairs. Not not like your hair, but the crematoriums actually allow for a whole lot more stuff. And once your cemetery usage starts going down, crematoriums are also renewable, which basically means that they can infinitely get rid of dead people. Cemeteries can get it flooded and packed over time. They do have a limit, so you want to limit your cemetery usage as much as possible once you have crematoriums. The bigger your population, the more crematoriums you're gonna need. This is just simply due to the fact on how these work. Once you start getting all of those people filled out and out of your of those cemeteries, get rid of your cemeteries because they will actually not be much use to you once you get it crematoriums. Now remember, the bigger your population, the more crematoriums you'll need. Crematoriums also don't really, really pollute, so it's mainly your industry that pollutes stuff. That's why you also want to get rid of all fossil fuel plants, aka oil power plants and regular power plants. And you also want to unlock stuff like hydro power plants or solar power plants. All these three, and also once you unlock this, and yeah. Wind turbines can be useful, but do take up space. So use advanced wind turbines at the coast. Once you can just get these in just enough to be a what's a well. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Once you get rid of these, you're going to want to keep them removed. Once you have landfills, get rid of those landfills because you don't want too much trash accumulating in your buildings. This happens all the time though. It happens a lot. It's a lot with it trash where it accumulates. You don't want the buildings becoming abandoned, so you want to keep trash at the lowest possible, just so you have less people. People will, yeah. So your trash will be needed to get out of buildings because if you don't have the trash out of buildings, then they're going to become abandoned, which is what you don't want. Also, once you start getting a whole lot more people, then make sure that you're good. You're good. Also, build your pipes in a way that they can connect to all the buildings and do routes. This is just so your pipes can will cover more space and get more buildings easier. Also, turn on automatically getting rid of your any abandoned buildings because you don't want to just be having a whole bunch of abandoned buildings. They can lower the land value. You don't want the land value to get lowered. You also want more people heading into your city, so make sure you build airports and begin building new metro stations. Now, I recommend you do these underground. They're much better to do underground rather than above ground. This is just simply due to the fact that if you do put them above ground, they're going to take up space that you might crucially need soon. So just make sure to not have too much of these. Incineration plants can do pollution. This does happen all the time, and it does take a while for the pollution to Get rid of. Now, incineration plants they also they do generate power, but you want to stop the pollution spread as much as possible. Now, I don't really know how to stop the pollution. I'm not a full-time city skylines expert, so yeah. Still make sure that you have this type of stuff, of just so you can prevent pollution as much as possible. Pollution also makes your citizens sick and lowers their regular health. So, yeah, make sure that you have hospitals nearby areas where your citizens are getting sick at. This is just so you have enough people for this. Or this. That's that's some tips. But if you do want to get to 10 mil, then you could watch Jelly's video on him getting 10 million people in City Skylines. You can. By the time you reach 200,000 people, you're going to have a lot of sewage production. Now, being the bigger the city or the more people you have, the more or stuff. What I mean by stuff is I mean by the more production you're gonna need, and also the more or people or more or highly just like in City Skylines, having connections is key. It's actually really useful to sustaining eating something good. Also, once you do empty out facilities, make sure that specifically your city is heading through. So those are just some quick tips, and also for the commercial zones, you don't really need to do that much because the cargo will head through on the highways in general. It will simply head through like regular. Uh, those are some tips and tricks in City Skylines. I hope you enjoyed this video. Now this is just some tips and tricks. My city isn't the best. The reason why it has such a low amount of people is because I didn't really have all those residential areas, and it takes a while for the game to actually begin building all of them. So that's why I have so much few people. So I'll see you guys later. Peace. These are just some strategies for beginners. Beginners. Bye guys.